Good afternoon. Happy Savage Saturday. Keep us up the cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here, and we are here with Savage Saturday Comic Review, episode 87, with the conclusion to the Solomon Kane tale we started last week, Wings in the Night, part 2 this week. And as we left our hero last week, he was in dire straits. He had just slew a winged creature and was fallen to his apparent death while still clutched to it while they dove from the sky straight towards the earth. But we all know Solomon Kane's not going to die. But what is going to happen? How is he going to overcome this evil that he has encountered that has slain an entire village in a lower region and now is looking to do the same at a village that's a little bit higher in the plains where he's at? There is a lot going on, and Solomon Kane is just getting whooped and trying to do what he can to abolish the evil that he has seen. And if you haven't seen the first part, please go check out Savage Saturday Comic Review, episode 86, to see how Solomon Kane got in this predicament. But without further ado, we are going to the second feature story in the issue 54 of The Savage Sword of Conan. And Solomon Kane is the backup feature here. And what we have is a great first panel. Again, this is adapted by Don Glut with art by David Wenzel. Both of them did a spectacular job with this adaptation. And this first part is the story so far, right? Basically what I just told you. Solomon Kane was on the run from cannibals. He escaped them only to get caught up immediately in this intrigue when he came across a bunch of skeletons in a village that was completely decimated, and a corpse that was, about 50, 60 feet up in the air. So, hung, impaled on a tree branch. So, Solomon Kane was left to wonder how this happened. And, he found some poor guy that was still alive, tied to a tree when he went past that village. Found out that it was his brother that tied him there. But there's more to the story than that. Solomon Kane is out seeking vengeance. But when he's on the way to search out this guy's brother for the atrocities committed to him, because this guy died as soon as Kane got him off the tree, he heard wings in the air. He's like, wings, wings, and he passed. He was already suffered too many injuries. He was referred to as a red ruin, and the art was just depicting that very well. And then one of the cannibals found Kane, which Kane partly incapacitated by slicing him with his knife, but then one of those bird creatures took the cannibal and was away with him. Another one attacked Kane. They battled midair, and that's where our story left, with them plummeting towards the earth. And here's the last page of the recap and of what was going on. And then our new story, Wings in the Night, Part 2, opens up with Kane and the winged creature falling towards their apparent doom. So great art. Again, David Wenzel, absolutely destroying it on this, doing a great job. And so as we turn the page, through colossal black basaltic corridors of night, Solomon Kane flees for 1,000 years, coming back suddenly from the land of delirium, strangely weak and ravenously hungry. So he's waking up, but he's in a hut, and there's these strangers about him, and one of the strangers is talking to the other one. He is awake, Kurova, and of sound mind. The hand Kane lifts to his bandaged head shakes. And what is this place? How long have I lain here? And they're telling him this is the last village of Boganda. And we found you beneath the trees of the slopes, badly wounded and senseless. You have raved in delirium for many days. So Kane is finding out all this information. Apparently, and of course, he did not die from the plunge, but he was unconscious for several days. They've been nursing him back to health. They bring him food, and Kane just devours it like an animal. He's just ravenous. And he is like a leopard crow, but I admire him. And not one in 1,000 would have lived with his wounds, is what this other person is telling the chieftain there. And he slew the Akana, which is what they call those winged demons that rent him, Goru. And as soon as Cain hears the name Goru, which is the name of the brother that helped tie the one brother to the tree for sacrifice, Cain is a light, right? He's like, Goru, the priest who binds men to stakes for devils to eat. And Cain leaps off the bed, all ready to mete out his form of justice, but he's still too weak and collapses. And when he awakes again, there's a woman there named Nayela, and she says she'll feed him and care for him. And Cain's like, I want Goru. And but things aren't what Cain suspects them to be at first, because Goru, according to everybody here, is a great and peaceful man. And when Solomon Cain meets him, though, he goes, I am no good, but a man like you. I am no God, but a man like yourself. My name is Solomon Cain, and I am a wanderer from a far land amid the sea. From the lips of a dying man, I first heard your name. Your face seemeth kindly. And Goru says, rest and grow strong, and in time you will learn of this land's ancient curse. So, and these 2 pages capture everything that was happening to Cain at the moment, right? They're waking up, all of a sudden he thinks there's a great evil there, he wants to fight it, his body's still too weak, but they're taking great care of him, and Cain is getting to know this small group of people fairly well, especially since it's because of them that he's actually regaining his health. Had they not found him, he would have perished on the steps outside. So, we turn the page to continue our tale. And Goru tells him of what happened in the past. And I'll read you this passage because it's important. It says, and in the days that follow, Cain fully recovers with the wild beast vitality that is his. While Karoba or Goru often sit with him at length, telling him many curious things. Their tribe, Cain learned, first came upon the plateau 150 years before, naming it after their former home, Old Baganda, on a great river far to the south, right? They were a powerful tribe, and their power was broken by tribal war, though, with all the different tribes of Baganda fighting with each other. And at last, before a concerted uprising, the whole tribe gave way, fleeing through 1,000 miles of jungle and swampland, and finally hacking their way through a country of ferocious cannibals. They were safe from man's attack, not yet understanding the jeering laughter of the man-eaters who had hunted them to the very borders of the plateau. The Bagandi, whose name means lion slayer, found a fertile country with good water and plenty of game, but it was not lions they had to fear in this country of Akana. And soon forced and so they built their villages, Upper and Lower Baganda, and soon they found this country to be a country of nightmares, with these winged demons swooping down, and women and children and young hunters began disappearing. Taken off into the skies, and they would find them half devoured, half mangled, and they would be dropped from the skies back to the village, and then they would hear the laughter of these demons. The demons grew bolder, and they started invading the village in force until they came to this pass where they just, what were they going to do to not be slaughtered wholesale? And that's where the sacrifices came in. So we're going to show you these 2 pages. Again, awesome David Wenzel art. And just showing the predicament of these poor people who ran from their original village to escape war and tribal uprisings to seek out a peaceful life, only to encounter a land filled with demons that fly through the air and prey on them. So it hasn't been easy for these guys. They tried to leave. The demons wouldn't let them leave. Preparing to leave that devil's country, 100 warriors looked for a pass up in the hills, finding the cliff dwellings of the winged men. Then was fought the first pitched battle between men and Batmen. But it was futile, and they were forced back to the village. And now they are forced. So the survivors of these 2 battles, licking their wounds, bowed to the inevitable. Some 1,500 men, women, and children remained, but their huts tilled their soil, built their huts, tilled their soil, lived stolidly in the shadow of the nightmare. And after years of drought and famine, the demons attacked more frequently and savagely, nourishing themselves by their obscene feasts. So no longer were the sacrifices even allowed by the demons to keep the tribes somewhat secluded and away from their attacks. And but now that there's drought and famine going around, the demons are just attacking mercilessly. And so, having heard the tale, Solomon Kane is queried by these people. He's like, "You've already witnessed what became of that village, Solomon Kane. Thus, wishing to survive, we of Upper Baganda offered to the Akanas at each moon a human sacrifice, each one chosen by lot and bound to the stake between the two villages, but no more. If you will save us from the Akanas. If you are no god, there is the power of a god in you." And one of them says, "You bear the mighty Juju staff, which has in times gone by been the scepter of fallen empires and a staff of mighty priests. And you have weapons which speak death and fire and smoke." Of course, they're talking about his pistol. "For our young men saw you slay 2 Akanas," which is something that is unheard of to them. And he says, Guru says, "We will make you king god, what you will. More than a moon has passed since you came here. The time for a sacrifice has gone by, but the bloody stake stands bare." So they know there's an attack coming. And Cain, and this part is really important to the Cain character. This is part of what makes him such a great character. The Akana shunned the village where you lie. We are thrown off their yoke because our trust is in you. And Cain's like, "You know not what you ask." He goes, "It isn't, God knoweth it is in my deepest heart to rid this land of evil." And Cain knows that because he was asked to stay there and protect this village, that he will, until the day he dies, remain in that village to fend off the evil that threatens them. He's been asked, he's been tasked, and he takes his vow to abolish evil wherever he sees it so seriously that he will live out the rest of his days in this village if it means saving any of their lives. And he's prepared to make that sacrifice. And he says, "If you think I be protection to the people, I will stay here in Baganda all the rest of my life." Such is Cain's devotion to abolishing evil and his word to his God that he will live out his remaining days there if he has to. So Cain's asleep and the people are resting easy, and it says, "Its people take heart." And once more they sing in the plantain fields, but Cain's own heart is heavily seeing their pathetic trust in him. Then one night, some days later, he wakes suddenly from a dreamless sleep. And this one guy, Loga, who is set to be married to one of the younger women there as well, they're a young couple, he comes in and he is torn apart. He's shredded from talons. And the youth's torn and bloody face freezes into a death mask. And this person who Cain had become quite fond of collapses and dies at Cain's feet. And the night is full of fearful sounds, inhuman howlings mingled with a whisper of mighty wings. And Cain freezes himself from the locked dead arms, making out only a confused and vague maze of fleeting, darkening shapes. And Cain knows that the winged demons are assailing the village mercilessly. They're slaughtering everyone, and it is just an all-out bloody mess. And Cain is feeling the weight of it in his heart and his soul. And he has got to do what he's got to do to try to help the village. He tries to save the girl, that's Loga's, but Loga's mate, but she is captured by a creature and murdered right before Cain's eyes. Cain is able to take a few of them and stabs one through the heart, shoots another one, but they're attacking. It says, "Yet on all sides of Cain, the people of Baganda are dying hideously, fighting or running futilely. But to the Puritan, he alone is responsible. The Bagandi had trusted him, withholding the sacrifices and defying their good masters. Now they are paying the horrible penalty." He says, "No, I shall not fail them." But Cain doesn't have that option. He tackles one creature, and him and the creature crash through one of the huts, through the roof, and onto the floor where Cain slays it. He's like, "Return to Hades, you devil spawned filth." And Cain springs up, ready to deal more death. But already the rest of the villagers are being carried off into the air, and Cain is just watching in horror as he is helpless to do anything. And he shrieks his hate at the fiends above him, feeling warm, thick drops fall into his face, while the skies are filled with screams of agony and the laughter of monsters. Still hearing the ghastly feasting in the skies, Cain gibbers to and fro, screaming chaotic blasphemies, and it is not the symbol of man staggering among the tooth-marked bones and severed grinning heads, as the winged shapes of night chuckle in demoniac triumph above him, dripping into his mad eyes the pitiful blood of their human victims. And come the dawn, they've dropped all the bodies back down in the village around Cain, mocking him and just murdering them to a thing. And then he sees Goru. Goru's head was put up there. And it's almost too much for Cain to bear, right? This guy who put him and his village's trust in Cain, and they're all dead. And gathering a sword, dirk, pistols, and the juju stave, Cain leaves the main village, going up the slope to the great hut of Goru, where he halts, stung by a new horror. The eyes in Goru's harpy-torn head stare like those of a hurt child, and in those dead eyes, Cain sees wonder and reproach. Then, in one soul-shaking burst of blasphemy, I curse all you, gods and devils who make mankind their sport, and I curse man who blindly offers his back to the iron-hoofed feet of his gods. The Cain is just enraged right now. He is so mad. And he makes a vow. There shall you abide, Goru. The sun will wither you, but your eyes shall see the fall of your slayers. I could not save the people of Baganda, but by the God of my race, I can avenge them. And Cain sets out building a trap. And he's reinforcing the one big hut where Goru held the council for the village. And as he's doing this, things are still going on around him. Eventually, the lions come into the plateau, and the herds of the little pigs dwindle fast. This was they're eating the pigs that the village grew and farmed. And in the following weeks, Cain oftentimes talks to the mummified head of Goru, its eyes remaining strangely lifelike. Its dried lips sometimes seem to speak strange and mysterious things. Is Cain going crazy, or is this war chieftain really speaking to him from beyond through his decapitated head? And Cain laughs deeply and madly, for now there are no humans to fill the harpy folks' bellies. And in all the plateau, there are no creatures for the bat people to eat. And Cain has set a trap for them. Cain has caught some beasts. He's got them in the hut. He slaughtered them, and the harpies, it's been weeks and weeks. They have no more food. They slaughtered all their food wholesale when they murdered the village. And they fly down, and they go into the trap that Cain has set. Being forced by their hunger and not thinking, they go into this hut to devour the food that they can smell inside, the fresh flesh and the blood. So they're there to eat the meat, and once inside, Cain locks the hut, seals it off, and he starts a fire. And he burns the whole tribe of the winged demons, the Akana, in that hut. One tries to escape, and Cain shoots it dead upon its escaping the roof. And after they've all burned, Cain looks at the head of Goru, and it says, to Cain, it seems that Goru's crumbling face, as it vanishes into smoke, splits suddenly in a wide grin, and a sudden shout to exultant human laughter mingles eerily in the roar of the flames. And then it says, but the smoke and the insane brain play queer tricks. Sanity returns to Solomon Cain, knowing that he has seen the last of those terrible semi-human monsters whom another hero had banished from Europe in an unknown age. The light of God's morning enters into dark and loathsome lands, he says. Evil rules in the wastelands of the earth, but even evil may come to an end. He goes, strange are the ways, O God of my people, and who am I to question thy wisdom? My feet have fallen in evil ways, but you hast brought me forth scatheless, a scourge of the powers of evil. All manner of evil things prey upon the heart and soul and body of man. Yet, someday, the Prince of Darkness may be chained forever in this hell. Until then, mankind can but stand up stoutly, and with the aid of God, he may yet triumph. And Cain sets off away from the village towards his next adventure and his next abolishment of evil. And there we have the final page with Goru's head laughing and disappearing in the fire and smoke. And Cain, having avenged the village, is on his way. And a great story, a fun story, and one that is subtle in the way it highlights Cain's character and his devoutness of purpose, his single-minded vision of what he is and what he needs to do, not only to redeem himself throughout life, but to help those around him. Cain is unwavering, and like this story said, he was willing to spend the rest of his life in a village of people he had never known just so he could protect them. Such is Cain's duty, and that's how he takes it. It's his duty, and he will do whatever his duty is to make sure people don't suffer at the hands of evil. So a great story, really highlights the character of Solomon Kane. Again, brilliantly drawn, I believe, by David Wenzel. I think he did a fantastic job. The art fits the story very well. A very horror-tinged story, for sure, which is another reason I really enjoy it. Solomon Kane definitely dips its toes in horror quite a bit, and for that, I love the stories and the character. And great adaptation by Don Glutt. Done so well. But that's it for Savage Saturday Comic Review 87. Hope you guys enjoyed this conclusion to this really phenomenal, in my opinion, Solomon Kane story. And for me, A++ is all around. This is just one of the best Solomon Kane stories. A fun read, highlights who the character is, and it's just a horror story with one man coming to terms with his duty, his ability, and what he can do about his strengths and his shortcomings. He fails in this story and still perseveres and moves on. He faces his failure and still tries to make right in face of that failure. But again, great story. Thank you guys. Until next time, keep it casual. Attention all, use channel sponsor Rogue Trader at theroguetraderutah.com and my code KEEPITCASUAL for 10% off your comic cleaning and pressing needs. Remember, when submitting your books to be graded, use a trusted professional.